Hello, everyone. My name is Akshay Gupta, and today we will talk about the investments in distribution for process manufacturers. I also have with me Andrea Ruozzi from AX for Pharma, and he's been working with us in the TAP program, and he's going to demonstrate AX 2012 for Pharma towards the end of the session. Okay? So that's the disclaimer, which you probably have seen before. It's a pre-release product and is subject to change. So please keep that in mind. Okay, so what we want to show today is how do you increase your sales by offering various types of rebates to customers. Let me do a quick question before that. How many of you have seen process manufacturing in various forms before? Okay, so about half, more than half of you. Okay, so I won't go into too much detail. Now, we've changed a lot on the rebates part, and I'll discuss about that in the brief demo later on. How do you improve productivity? By using dual unit of measure enabled for sales and purchase agreements, delivery schedules, and purchase order management. If you've been around in all the other sessions, you must have seen there are new entities in AX 2012, like sales and purchase agreements, delivery schedules, and purchase order change management has been introduced. And to make that all work for distributors, by that I mean to make it all work with catch weight or dual unit of measure was a lot of work, and I'll show you how we have done that. Increasing control over product quality. Quality management was available in AX 2009, and it's part of a standard package, but process manufacturers need some special functionality within quality management, which has been improved than in the past. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Increase customer satisfaction and better differentiate your service by controlling and shipping exactly as per customer specifications. So this is the batch attribute feature from AX 2009. It has been enhanced, and we'll see a little bit about that. How do you reduce cost? By improving visibility and controlling inventory of process manufactured goods through using warehouse management too. So basically, what this is saying is that we have integrated the process manufacturing functionality together with warehouse management too, and you can do all your inbound and outbound processes for process manufactured goods, whether they are catch weight controlled or not. Okay? And then manage growth and reduce costs by using Dynamics AX 2012 for products with differing valuation and stocking units of measure. I covered this in the past, in the last session. Since many people are repeating, I'll just spend less time on this. But basically what it is showing is the Contoso demo data setup, which you will get with the product. And you will get this. Basically what we have is 4 companies. The first 2 companies are chemicals and plastics companies, which will have data which is specific to chemicals and plastics companies. So it basically helps the partners when they're doing pre-sales to use that set of data. And then the last company here is Contoso Foods Company, and this would have 3 different sites: manufacturing, doing poultry processing, bakery, and desserts, and so on. And we'll also have a pharmaceutical company. So basically, when the demo data is released, it'll have few companies for chemicals, food, and pharma. And hopefully, it'll be easier for you to use those and do the demonstration pre-sales. Okay. Now, what components are we showing today? So this is a industry-specific session, and what we'll show today is process manufacturing logistics. So the name of the product has been changed from process distribution to process manufacturing logistics. Okay. So in the past, we had 2 licenses, process manufacturing and process distribution. But now we will still continue to have the license. I'm not talking about anything about licenses, but the 2 names that we have are process manufacturing production and process manufacturing logistics. The functionality that you will see today is part of process manufacturing logistics. Okay, so quickly moving on to pains and challenges that different personas have. So the first one is Inga, purchasing manager. Now she can set up purchase agreements in AX 2012, but she needs to set this up for catch weight control items as well. Susan, she can set up sales agreements and she can set up delivery schedules, but she needs to do that for items which are dual unit of measure control. Kevin is a sales manager. He cannot set up rebates if he was using AX 2009 for various periods, units of measure, or dimensions. We'll talk a little bit more about rebates towards the end of the session. Quality manager. If you have used AX 2009, you'll realize that items which were dual unit of measure or catch weight items, you couldn't create quality orders for them. So we've enabled that functionality in AX 2012. And there is a lot of additional functionality which comes on the quality management side, and some of it Andre will demo towards the end as well. Materials manager. So Carl was not able to see, for instance, net requirements, or see pegging, or see forecasting in catch weight units. So we've spent some time in this release to introduce catch weight units in various other modules together with in which they were already. So basically, yeah, I'll show you a little bit in the end. OK, that's the last one, John, warehouse worker. So since warehouse management 2 could not be used together with process manufacturing, it was never possible to pick catch weight control products. Or it was the criteria that we used for picking did not honor any of the process manufacturing constraints. For instance, if you wanted to pick something which is specific to a particular batch attribute, you could not do that. Or if you wanted to pick something which was from an available batch as opposed to an unavailable batch, you could not differentiate any of those things if you were using warehouse management 2. You couldn't create pallet transports or picking routes. But you can do all of that with the new module of process manufacturing. OK, so I think I've covered a lot of that already, but let's just see if there's something new pops up. I'll talk about that. So this is a simple process. You procure something, you do some material planning, then you do production and quality control, then you do shipping and sales and marketing. Okay, and these are different personas who interact. So yeah, so I've talked about that. I think talked about that. Okay, so I think I'll quickly go into the demo part. So now I'll do a quick demo and show you how to create a sales agreement for a catch weight control item. If you have any questions, please stop me during the presentation. It's fine. So that's a new sales agreement. Oh, sorry. This is only for me. Sorry. All right. So this item that I'm going to put up here is a box of chicken, some chicken parts. Now, what you will notice is that when I use a catch weight item on a sales agreement line, this field defaults to 1, which is the catch weight quantity. So that's one box, which is equivalent to 10 kilos. Okay, so let me just say we want to create 400 boxes. Oops. So that's all that we need to do here. I should change the expiration date. Be useful. Okay, so we get this sales agreement, which is created for a catch weight item. And I make the agreement effective here. Okay, so I've created a sales agreement for a catch weight control item. And then I can release that. So I can create a sales order from there. And it comes up asking for, okay, so this is 10 kg boxes of chicken legs, 10 kg box of chicken legs it should be. And how much sales order do you want? So let's say I create a sales order for 40 of these boxes. All right. So what we get is a sales order created from a sales agreement for a catch weight control item. So dual units of measure work with the sales order, with the sales agreement. Now I can go into the sales order. I'm here. And look at the order that we just created. So that's the sales order that we just created. And what we've got is, well, actually, I should have shown you something else as well. Let me go back to the agreement and show you how we handle the catch weight units on this. So if I go on the line details, then I can see in the price and discount, for instance, there is a field called exclude from rebate. So right now we are on the sales agreement. So what is likely to happen is that if you get into an agreement with a customer, you've already talked all about rebates and stuff. And you do not want any orders created from this agreement to be part of any rebates. If that's the case, then you can take this flag and the rebates will not consider, you can't create rebates on that. Okay. And if you look at this one, it's a little better in this view. Now, so this is basically, these are the inventory quantities. This is the fulfillment tab. And what it shows is how much of the agreement is remaining, how much of the agreement has been released. So since we've created a sales order for 40 boxes, it shows in the released field. And this is the inventory quantity. So basically, what I want to show here is that the different states the quantity is in, you can see that on the catch weight unit as well as on the inventory unit. And here you have the description of what this inventory unit actually is. So I go back to the sales order. And on the sales order, let's say I want to create a delivery schedule. Okay, so I've got so this is the delivery lines. I've got only, there's no line right now. It's basically, it's saying this, just one, the sales order that we created. What you will notice is on this field also you will see some catch weight fields. And again, just like in the other field, other form, we want to maintain the catch weight quantity and the inventory quantity together all the time. So now if I want to change this and say, I want two different deliveries, one for 25 units and the other one for 15 units. It will basically do the calculation based on the nominal conversion to inventory quantity. So I've just split the 40 sales order quantity that we wanted into two delivery lines. I can change the date, but let's just leave it. It's just for demonstration. Okay, and here you can see that total quantity is 400 and catch weight quantity is 40. Right now there is, all is remaining. Well, nothing is remaining. Okay, and once I get out of this, I mean, this is how the delivery lines will look. Okay, so yeah, basically that's what I wanted to show you on the sales agreement and sales order and the delivery line side, that it is catch weight enabled, and you can use that if you have dual units of measure. Same thing applies on the purchase agreements as well. I'll not go into the detail because we don't need to use that item in the future. Any questions on that? Okay. Yeah, so a little bit more in detail about, yeah, I think two things which I should mention here further is that there's something called same batch selection, and this has always been available on the sales order side, but we've introduced on the sales agreements as well. So if you want everything that you ship from the same batch, and then you can put that on the agreement itself. So all the sales orders that are created from that agreement will have that flag turned on. And then when you do the shipment, then it will follow the same batch selection functionality that it used to in the previous versions. Okay, and then the last point here is the auto batch reservation, which is also available on the sales agreement. If you check that on the sales agreement, then it gets on the sales orders as well. Okay? So this short demo, basically what that shows us, that agreements, delivery schedules are catch weight enabled. And yeah, I'll move on to the next slide. Forecast and planning. So like I said, we've introduced catch weight on several other areas as well. So let's just go and I'll show you the demo itself. So if I go to the inventory management, where is that? So that's the Contoso Foods company, and that's the chicken item. And if I go and look up at the forecast, so here is the forecast. Usually you will have forecasts only in inventory quantity. But what we've done now is that you can enter forecast and catch weight quantity as well. And when you do that, then system will automatically convert the catch weight quantity based on the nominal to inventory quantity. I mean, people who use catch weight will probably find that very, very useful, because otherwise they'll have to manually calculate how many chicken boxes, because they will probably, if you're selling chicken, then you're probably forecasting in chicken boxes, not in chicken kilos. And you would have to manually calculate that in the past to enter the forecast. But now you can just enter the number of boxes, and then system will calculate that. And then the other thing is, so that's on the forecast side. Same thing on the net requirements. So if you look at some of these, I can't show probably. Okay. So here you will also see catch weight fields which have been enabled. And these are display-only fields. I mean, they do the backward calculation based on the inventory quantity. They will calculate the catch weight quantity and display over there. So the thinking is the same, that if you have catch weight enabled in your company, and if you cannot work without catch weight, then you really need to see all these values in the secondary unit of measure all the time. And that's the reason we've introduced all these fields. And if you look on the pegging screen, on the pegging area here, you will also see there is, where is that gone? I think it's, well, there is it's a catch weight pegging. There it is. Yeah, down here, you can also see whatever is available in inventory units up here is converted into catch weight units down there. Okay. So that's really what I wanted to show. Apart from there's catch weight in several other places in different other forms as well, but just to let you know that there is possibility to see catch weight values on a lot more forms than it was in AX 2009. Okay, so now we go to quality management. Now there are a few changes on quality management. First thing is over here, inventory blocking. If you remember from AX 2009, items that are being inspected could be sold. But now items that are being inspected will automatically be physically reserved or order reserved, depending on the status. And so we are creating transactions in the back end. As soon as you create a quality order, whether it's a manual or an automatic quality order, there will be an inventory blocking transaction which is created in the back end, which will physically reserve or order reserve the items. So you cannot sell stuff which is under inspection. So that's a big change. And this works for dual unit of measure as well. Okay, and then this one, quality orders per receipt. Now this was a common scenario which we did not support in AX 2009. Imagine you receive a purchase order, or you have a purchase order for 100. You receive 60 in the first batch and 40 in the next batch. You could only create one quality order. As soon as you receive the first 60, you had a quality order, and then you couldn't. Well, you could receive the next 40, but you won't get a quality order. But now you can check the item sampling so that you have quality orders available at every receipt. Okay. Quality order blocks processes. Yeah. So what this one does is that, well, this was also possible in 2009, but we have enhanced and added more processes that can be blocked. So for instance, from a purchase order, if you are doing some inspection, you receive the first 60, you get a quality order created, and then you want to basically say that I do not want to do the packing slip update until I have inspected the quality, until I have validated the quality order. So you could do those kind of settings on picking list, on purchase registration, on packing slip, on invoicing, depending on how you want to set the system. Okay, this one I just talked about a little bit, that you can do all of that on secondary unit of measure as well. So it's not a problem if you have a catch bit item. You can run it through all these different processes. Then there is something called quality orders per batch. Really, it's not just per batch, it's per dimension. So I think I have one more slide in the, let me just. Yeah, so let's just talk about this slide. It covers in more detail. So quality specification. That's the first thing, which you can set up on the item sampling. And really what it does is that you can choose whether you want to have a percentage of the incoming material to be inspected or a fixed quantity. That's a simple thing. It was, I think it was there in the previous one as well. Full blocking, that's a new one. So what it does is that in some cases, you might take a percentage out for inspection, right? So you receive 100, you take 10% out, so 10 units for inspection, but you would like to block the full batch. Okay, and people who have used process manufacturing in the past will know that there's something called batch disposition, which was always there in process manufacturing. And that batch disposition was a manual control on the batch. And you still have that functionality, but it also, it works together with full blocking. So if you have full blocking turned on for a particular batch during quality inspection, then you can basically block that batch using full blocking as well. Or you can choose to manually go and block that batch using batch disposition. Okay. So per updated quantity, this means that do you want a quality order generated for every update, or do you want just one quality order? Okay, so it's just the 60-40 that I just talked about from the purchase order. It's more than that. Per dimension, so you can choose which dimension you want to raise quality orders on. So for instance, if you have all inventory, storage, and tracking dimensions. So if you have batch enabled and serial enabled items, but you check this flag on the batch, that means if you have 10 serials, 10 serial numbers being received in the same inventory batch, you will only get one quality order. If you turn it on per serial number, then you will get 10 quality orders. Right? So you can choose that, and whatever dimension you choose on, and whatever quality order you get, there will always be an inventory transaction in the back end, which will reserve all that material so that you cannot issue it. That's inventory blocking. Okay, and then batch attributes. Basically, the changes. So batch attributes is the functionality in AX 2009 where the test results from the quality order can be updated to the inventory batch that is under inspection. And now you can choose, because now you're creating many quality orders. Right? So if, for instance, in this example where you had one batch and 10 serials and you had 10 quality orders created, you do not want, or you may not want to update the attributes for that particular batch 10 times because it has got 10 serials. So you can choose at which level you want to update the batch attributes. Okay, a little bit more about quality. So this is kind of what I just talked about. Quality orders generated at a particular document. You can choose if you're generating quality orders and purchase orders, you can choose whether they are generated at purchase pack slip or a purchase invoice or a purchase registration. Similarly on the sales and inventory and all the different references. And then execution time. Basically what it says is that when do you want the quality order to be created? Before packing slip or after packing slip? Block process. And there are more processes than in AX 2009 which can be blocked depending on what is the quality order, what is the document at which you're generating the order. Item sampling, we just talked about in the previous, so I won't talk more. Date effectivity, it just means that everything, all the associations that you're creating are date effective. Co-product reference, this means that co-products that are being produced out of production, you can also create quality orders for them. So you could always create quality orders for the primary output, but also for the co-product outputs. And again, just also for the catch weight items. If your co-product items are dual units of measure, you can create quality orders for them. Okay? All right, so I'll do a quick demo. Okay, let's go back to the sales agreement that we created. Where is the sales agreement? No, not the sales agreement. Let's go back to the sales order. So that is my sales order. And I will try to ship the first 25. So what I have already set up is some quality associations in the back end. So there's a quality association which is already set up. Reference type is sales for that particular box of chicken items. And here it is saying that before the packing slip is generated, I want a quality order created. Okay? And it's date effective. It is effective right now. I can use that. And then there is a item sampling on this, which is saying that as soon as the quality order is created, it should be for 10% of the transaction quantity. And I should get a quality order per updated quantity. So whenever I do a sales order packing slip, for whatever quantity, a quality order will be created. And a quality order that is created should be for every batch. So if there is a new batch which I'm shipping on the sales order, then I should get a new quality order. Okay, so now I'll go back to my sales order. And the sales order is for 40 catch weight boxes, 40 boxes with 2 delivery lines, 25 and 15. Let's try to do a packing slip update. Remember, the quality order is supposed to be created before the packing slip update is done. Well, let's try to pick something before we pack. Let's just make sure that we have some quantity to be picked up. Okay, so I've got some batches here, and let's say I want to pick that batch. So what I'm doing is I'm picking a batch which has, I can choose here. So let's say I want to pick, just to keep it simple, 25 boxes. I can change these quantities here, like in the past, but I'll try just to keep it simple. 25 boxes, 250 kilos from that batch are being picked and packed for the sales order. So I register that. So now the status is picked. And now I can do my packing slip. Oh. Okay, I get some errors. Quality order has been generated. And something else happened. But what we want is quality order, so we'll just go to the quality order. Okay, so what I get here is the quality order that has been created before the packing slip update. That's important, right? That's what the setting was. And also notice that the quantity here is 10% of 25, which is 2.5. But there is no 2.5 because it's a dual secondary unit of measure. You need to have full quantities. There's no half, it's only integers. So it rounds it up to 3 catch weight units. And also notice that 3 catch weight units should be equal to 30, but they are here 27. And that is because when the quality order is created, there's an inventory transaction. Well, whenever the quality order is created, we want to create it at the minimum. Right? So catch weight has this nominal and then min and max. So we are creating the quantity, creating the quality order at the minimum. Okay? Now I've got this quality order created. And I've got these tests to be done in this quality order. I can choose to do that test quickly. No, it's 3. So I'm just entering the results of the test. It's all good. Those two are tests which don't need any values, any numeric values. This one does, so I'll just give it some value here. Okay, and then I will override these and say good. Oops. Thanks for that. Okay, and this flag, what it is saying is that you want to update inventory batch attributes, which means all these test results that I just put in, all these will be updated on the specific inventory batch. Okay? I go and validate this. Okay. All right, so now it comes up with some messages saying attribute values for these batches have been updated. Okay? Sends me 3 messages because 3 attributes were updated. So basically what we did was we created a sales order and we tried to do a packing slip. Since we had a quality association in the back end, just before the packing slip was done, it created the quality order. And then we had to go in and do the inspection, which we did. We inserted test results. And then after inserting test results, we validated the quality order. And then we had also told the quality order that all the batch attribute values on all the test results from the quality inspection should go onto that particular batch. So when the customer gets this batch, then the customer will know what the test results were for different things on the batch. So it's basically updating the specifications of what you produced. Okay, and now of course I can go and do the sales order packing slip because there's already inspection done. But I won't go into that detail. Okay, so basically what we see here is that quality orders can be created per receipt, and they can be created per inventory dimension, not just batch. And they can be created for catch weight item because we just use the catch weight item for that. And I forgot to show you the inventory blocking transactions which are created in the back end, but they are created. Just trust me. Batch disposition works with inventory blocking. And basically we believe the benefit here is that there is stricter quality control, and this will reduce the inventory cost and will reduce the risk and increase customer satisfaction. Okay, now so there's a lot of change on the warehouse management because we've integrated warehouse management 2 with process manufacturing. I have a short demo towards the end to talk about this. But what we have here is basically, let's just go through these boxes. Catch weight on shipments. What this means is that when you create a shipment in the past, in the previous versions, you could only create shipments for inventory quantities. You could not do for dual unit of measure. But now if you're selling chicken boxes or any other kinds of boxes or any other thing which needs secondary unit of measure, the shipments you can put in the catch weight quantity, and system will automatically calculate the nominal quantity. And then you can change that. Then you can also have the catch weight on output orders. You can also have catch weight on pallets. So if you're creating pallet transports, they will have catch weight on them. We will show you that shortly. But that is just one part of warehouse management 2. That is that it is enabled to work with dual unit of measure. The other big part is that when you are doing shipments and you're using warehouse management 2, then you want to make sure that all these other constraints that are there in the process manufacturing module are followed. So when the warehouse system is suggesting you the picking route or the pallet transport that should be generated to fulfill that shipment, then you want to make sure that the FIFO constraint is honored. FIFO constraint is the first expiry, first out. So you want to make sure that the items which are going to expire first are picked first, right? And you want to do that within warehouse management 2. This was not possible. This was a big change in AX 2012. Same thing with same batch reservation. If you have that kind of a constraint that you want all items to be shipped from the same batch, then the warehouse management rules will have been modified to make sure that when you ship something out, then when the warehouse management system suggests you the picking routes and the pallet transports that you need, then it'll do that, keeping in mind that it has to be all from the same batch, because that's the requirement. And then batch attributes constraint. So we just saw the quality order test results going on to a particular batch attribute, going on to the batch. Now, if you had some customer specification based on which you were making some shipment, then based on that particular specification, if you run warehouse management 2, system will only pick those, or will suggest only pallet transfers and picking routes for those batches which follow, which honor that constraint. And the last one is the batch disposition constraint, which is the kind of the same thing. If you have, you can't basically use warehouse management 2 and ship something from an unavailable batch. Okay? All right. So I will do a, well, I'll do a demo for an inbound process now, hopefully. So just create a purchase order. Yeah. So I'm going to receive something from this vendor. And these will be more boxes of chicken. Oh, yeah. What was that? 192. This is a secret code, but we'll receive 192 boxes of these chicken parts. And then we will go to the item arrival. That's the purchase order which we just created. And here you can see that you have catch weight quantities here, and you have inventory quantities here as well. Okay. So we are basically getting this item is arriving. And we do a start arrival, and there's a journal which is created. Now on this arrival journal, I get 2 lines. That was the secret code, because 96 boxes can sit on the pallet that we have in the system. Okay, so it's creating 2 pallets, or it's splitting the line, and then it'll create 2 pallets. Okay. What did I want to say? Yeah, you could change these quantities here. Of course, you would like to, because the boxes are never going to be the same quantity as you expect them to be. So whatever it is within the min and max, you can change these quantities on the arrival journal.
What happens to the remainder when you change that quantity? What happens to the remainder when you change that quantity? Is it remain open on the line?
Yeah, so, well, it's taken care of. It's the same pattern all across the application. Because when you're doing picking or shipping or receiving or anything like that, whenever there's a difference in quantities, it's taken care of.
When you say taken care of, do you mean it's just like it's not there anymore? It reduces the deliver or the receive remainder?
Yeah, when you get towards the end of it, you will never have a situation where there's an empty box and there is some inventory quantity.
Okay.
Right, so I mean that would be a problem if you did not have, if you had 0 here and you had something left over there. Right. Okay, what I need to do here is to create pallet IDs. Okay, so now I've got pallet IDs, and then I need to say where these items are going to be stored. Good point. Thank you. So now we're going to send these items to site 1 and warehouse 14. And they are going to go to the inbound dock. Okay. Do the posting here. So the arrival journal has been posted. And then I want to create a pallet transport. Yeah. So I'll go here, and now I can see there are 2 pallets which we just created, and what it is trying to tell us is that it's going to pick up from the inbound dock and put it in the specific locations. And notice the catch weight quantities and inventory quantities are following through. If you press OK there, the transport has been started, and then you can complete it, and then do the same for the next one. Right? So basically, now we can go and look at the inventory quantity for that particular item. So those were the batches which we just received, and they are sitting in these locations. Okay, so what basically this shows is a inbound scenario using dual unit of measure item, and it can go through the pallet transport, and you can change the quantities on the arrival journal if you wish to. And the same thing can be done for the outbound scenario, but I will not show it right now. So this was a request for a long time to have warehouse management to working with process manufacturing, which it does now. So we are very proud of it. Okay, so basically this again talks about all the benefits that we believe customers will have when they can use the secondary unit of measure and warehouse management together. Okay, coming to the rebates. So the changes on rebates. The first one is that you can set up rebates by qualifying levels, which means you can set up rebates like, for instance, in trade agreements. So which means that you can say that we'll offer you $2 discount if you pick up 1,000 units. We'll offer you $5 discount if you pick up 1,500 units, and so on. What? I'll show you that. And then rebates by currency. It was not possible in the previous versions to set up rebates based on different currencies. You can do that. And also the same thing for different units of measure. It was a fixed unit of measure for rebates, but now you can change, and you can also suggest whether you want the rebates on the secondary unit of measure or primary, and then which one of those. And then you can set up rebates by inventory dimensions. Rebates can be set up by user-defined period. In the previous version of AX, rebates could only be set up for, I think, month, year, or quarter, or something like that. But now this just uses the standard AX 2012 periods, and then you can set up rebates using those periods, or you can define your own periods. The other thing which is important is that once you created rebates in the previous version, you could not change anything on them. And this has been modified a lot. Now you have a list page and a very nice UI to work with once you're doing rebate processing. And you can maintain rebates until you process them. Okay, I'll quickly show how to create a rebate. Oh, not here, not here, not here. So basically, this is a rebate agreement that I'll create. I'll just use one of the existing programs. for this customer for this particular item. Notice this is a catch weight item. And here you can basically specify whether you're setting it up on inventory unit or catch weight unit. And then here you can choose whichever unit you want to set these rebates on. Okay, so let's just take catch weight unit. Let's say it starts once you buy 1,000 boxes. And let's have this a quantity rebate and not an amount rebate. And then this is also date effective. So you can set up that this is for a particular period. Oh, it will overlap. So I need to change the dates here. Let's say 4. Okay. I need to say how am I going to make the payment. Well, this will be by a check, or whether I'll just deduct something from a customer, or whether it will be something else. So notice here that you have a period type, and this goes back to the Dynamics AX 2012 standard periods. So that you can have all kinds of user-defined periods here, as compared to the past when you could not do that. And then you can also choose currency somewhere. Oh, and then in the lines section, which I can't pull up further. Okay, so here I can add the rebate lines to this agreement. Oh yeah, so there you can set up whatever currency you want. So that's basically the different things that we have done to rebates. But the other thing, the qualifying levels, that's what it comes here. So minimum quantity is 1,000. So I will say from 1,000 until 2,000, I'll offer $3 per unit. That's the rebate that is being offered. Then I'll add another line and choose the same currency. You can choose a different one. And then I will say here from 2,000 to 3,000, it's $3.5 per unit. Okay, so basically what it shows is you can choose the unit that you want, whether it's an inventory or a catch weight, and it's date effective. And then over here you can choose the currency that you want, and you can have these different levels set up just like in the trade agreements. And then you need to validate this rebate. So you can also add in workflow approval to that if you want. Okay, so the benefit is flexible and improved rebates UI. Lets companies set up many different kinds of industry-specific rebate programs. All right. Some more new capabilities which we did not have enough time to demo or put them in the slide deck. I've captured them here, so I'll just quickly go through these for people who already use them, use process manufacturing. There's a new list page for inventory batches. And this list page will have all the inventory batch related functionality on it, which means that you can use this list page to change batch attributes, to change batch disposition code, to change vendor batch details, and to have all the quantities in the catch weight units of measure available as well. And you will also have possibility to change the shelf life dates, and it will also basically show what's the current expiry and expiry dates and shelf life dates. I don't have that list page right now, but it will be available in the final product. Commodity pricing, there were some issues there, so the usability has been improved for this particular feature. Material compliance setup is much simpler now, and you can use all the new UI to set up your restricted items and regulated items and the material safety data sheets Approved vendor list, which was there in AX 2009, is now date effective and is also available on purchase requisitions. Automatic batch reservation is also available on the sales gradations. Vendor batch details is also available on arrival journal. And there are a lot of changes to the shelf life functionality, plan groups, and priority, which basically improve the accuracy of the planned orders. It's more, you get planned orders when you expect it to get, as compared to the otherwise. Okay, now I'll invite Andrea to the stage. And Andrea is in the TAP program, and they've been working on the AX6 pre-release versions. And Andrea will show you some specific functionality for pharmaceuticals.
Thank you. So good evening, everyone.
Yeah, I don't know. Is it on? Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. Okay. Good evening, everyone. This is the graveyard shift, so I'll be quick and leave questions to Akshay. We have been part of the TAP program to move our pharmaceutical solution from process industry 2009 to 2012. And the biggest point we see is the regulatory part. So what is required in pharma, but also food, chemicals, cosmetics, is more and more regulations around the world are being brought to the market. It's more restricted. And Microsoft has done a great job in doing this. We built on top of that to make it even more what is called GMP compliant, good manufacturing practices. So this is the usual stack you know about, and this is the space we are in. Pharmaceutical manufacturing. These are just some of the features we have added. I will not list all of them, but we have built on top of what has been done on 2012 to make it, for example, enhance the approved vendor list. Just an example. You have to change the way you sample products according to the qualification status of a vendor and of an item. If the vendor can sell you that item, you have to be able to change the way you sample it and in the workflow you use in that case. You have to have rework orders, batch expiry dates, again built on top of what Microsoft is doing, full integration of electronic signature, and a series of improvements on quality orders. This is the part we're going to see today. We're going to see two flows. So we have Ricardo, which actually talked to us about, and then his twin, who is called Luciano, who is the quality manager. Because an issue we have right now is that if you have a workflow applied to a quality order, the one in Microsoft AX 2012, you have one workflow. You do not have multiple approval steps if you want. So in this case, we have the QC analyst, we have a peer evaluation, and you have a quality manager. All these are done seamlessly using the new workflow functionality we did not have before. And also we can do them changing by country. If you are in Europe or if you are in the US or in Japan, you have different regulatory requirements. So you have to be able to set that up by legal entity, even by site, and make the workflows change according to the regulations. So in this case, right now, we cannot process reviews of quality orders as required by pharmaceutical requirements. A notification to the quality manager has to be made the moment that something happens, but the quality order is still not approved. It's just been evaluated. And then if you have multi-level or complex tests, this is not covered. As Akshay was saying, we have percentage and we have items. But one requirement is, for example, you have 20 drums of something. You have to sample the square root of the number of drums plus a certain parameter. You need this type of calculation. Second example, we'll show this as well, just to set up. If you have 6 drums to samples, and then you get so-and-so results, you're allowed to increase what you're testing up to 12, and then you can have maybe 2 results which are out of specification. If that doesn't work, you can do 12 more. This is the regulation. This is called US Pharmacopoeia. It's not covered by AX because, of course, this is a generic system. And again, Luciano, who is Ricardo's boss, wants to be able to see all the orders, quality orders, who have to be approved, and then he wants to be able to delegate them, ask for a further investigation, inspection, or just approve them. So the key features, this is one demo divided into 2 parts. First of all, the quality order workflow, as opposed to using the normal workflow, and very complex test criteria, for example, test type of type criterion, which is a new one compared to what is available today. Average, square root, and other mathematical functions are also required. The US Pharmacopoeia is a book that's this big, so we put the rules that we could manage, of course. Okay, this is the workflow we're going to show. So you have the analyst, Ricardo, creates a quality order, and we have also added further workflow enhancements on top of the new workflow functionality. So creates a quality order, it's open. He inserts the test results, submits it, the status changes, and pass to a peer. So using workflow, we can say give it to any one of his colleagues, and one of them that has time can take this order and check if the results are good. This is a requirement according to GMP. So he can review it, the status changes again, and then it goes finally to the quality manager, supposing they both agree that it's a good quality order, or else they can block it before. And in this case, the quality manager or the site responsible for quality, depends on how big the company is, can approve it or reject it, and then the workflow finishes. But it finishes, but you have to track if it passed or if it failed. Okay, so now we move to the presentation. Okay. It's a little bit small because we're running live meeting with that computer because, you know. Okay, so this is in 2012 with already enhancements. First of all, very important, any customization, and this does not depend if you're an ISV or not, has to be something that can be not breaking the standard solution. So we have a parameter that tells you by legal entity if you want to do workflows according to what is, here it is, just a very quick setup. So if you have quality order approval, this is something that you can either use normal setup or you use our setup. This has to be done for anything. It doesn't matter if you're an ISV or not. So do not ruin the standard solution ever. Second point is that we want to check the setup of the workflows. So what we did is that we created a quality order approval workflow. This also has customization. It's not only configuration. We have 3, as a matter of fact, and you can check them from here with the new UI. So we have number 1, which is active, but we have various options. For example, this one also has conditional flow for US pharmacopoeia, because according to the flow, you have or must not approve, for example, during the shipment. And also electronic signature, because electronic signature is not integrated in workflow in every single point. So we have done that systematically. Another requirement. So just to show this one, which is the nicest. Okay, and workflows, it takes a little bit to pull them up. I don't know if you've seen that, probably because they're nice and graphical. And we're going to show just an example of how you can set up a parallel workflow in AX 2012. Okay, I'm going to make that a little smaller. So we start, we have a conditional decision, and according to if you are subject or not to US pharmacopoeia required regulations, you can either do a special QC review, quality control review, or just go direct to approvals. So again, this is just a very basic example of what you can do with workflows in 2012. And then on approvals, I can click on that and zoom down on one or more sub-steps that you are executing. This, of course, is not conditional because it's for one role. If we go back to where we were, very important, this can be assigned. So what we saw before, it can be assigned to any role, and we've created roles for approvals, for quality managers, for quality analysts, etc., etc. You can create as much as you want, but we've already given some out of the box. Example of how this works. So this is the setup. There's customization as well as configuration on this. And then we go to quality orders. I have opened some because the workflow, as you know, is running under, so it takes a little bit of time. So we go to quality orders. And here we have created this example where the first step is that a quality order, I will close this, is not submitted in the first phase. So please remember the workflow we showed before. Initially not submitted. I have to insert results. So I take the same quality order. So these are really different ones, but just please imagine them as the same quality order flowing through time. First point, not submitted, I'm inserting some results. And the results are down here. Then I go to pending complete. The way I pass from one to the other I think you are familiar with workflow, but just in case I will show it, is that from here you have a submit button. And this is the only possible action I have in this case. If I go to pending complete, I have different actions. For example, accept or cancel. In this case, this is the peer, remember Ricardo's colleague, and he is taking from the list of quality orders the one that he's going to process. He can say, okay, I have time, I'll work on it, or else I just can't do it, and then cancel. So these are all appearing simultaneously on everybody's task list. This is something that usually is done in quality departments by hand with paper. It takes a lot of time. Or you have to have a LIMS solution, Laboratory Information Management System, very expensive. This is all integrated. Of course, building on top of what's been done. Then you go one step further. So they take it, they do a review, okay, it's fine. Gives you the history up here because this is how workflow works. And then from there, this is very important. So I am now the quality manager. I'm Luciano. I'm the Ricardo's boss. And what you can do is approve, reject, request a change. So I'm not sure. That result looks bad to me. Please check it out and see if that result is really what it was supposed to be. Delegate it. I don't have time. I'm on holiday, so I have my little Windows 7 mobile phone. And I say, okay, delegate to somebody else. You can do that because this is integrated, of course, with the SharePoint interface and the Enterprise Portal. Or you can cancel it. And then as a result, you have pass or fail. So we have, in this case, we have both results. Typically, we have two workflows, completed or what it could be pass or fail, and everything is totally tracked. I'm not going to show the history. It's like in 2009. It's very nice, and it's very good also for auditors. To finish off, zooming into details, here we have, for example, dissolution test. And as I was saying before, we have added US pharmacopoeia criterions. If you have this criteria, you go into results. You can insert the quantity and the steps. So you have multiple steps as well. Level 1, level 2, level 3, and so on. I will not elaborate. This is specific for pharmaceuticals. We have just taken what's been done by Microsoft and greatly enhanced it in the quality part and in general for pharmaceuticals. So going back to the presentation, the pains were that right now there was not a workflow for the quality control analyst, and that has been inserted. And now there's integrated workflow functionality connected to quality orders. The same person could not perform multi-level complex calculation. You only have average and per unit. It's not enough in some businesses, and so we have added a lot of calculations on top of that. And last, history, delegation, request changes for the quality manager. Right now it has to be done by hand, and instead that's been integrated with workflows. By the way, sorry. Thank you very much for letting us be part of the TAP program.
All right, I think before we close, this is the final recap about what we have learned today. So manufacturing execution is fully integrated, as it was talked about in the last session. And warehouse management too is fully integrated. Dual unit of measure support has been extended into manufacturing execution, warehouse management, and several other modules. Process manufacturing solution integrates to all new relevant AX 2012 supply chain capabilities. And there are new capabilities for quality management, rebates management, and commodity pricing. Okay? I think I'll open the floor for questions.